Right. So this block of the day 4, finally, is called Arx.ace. The reason is that it's a new brand that the two of you are starting, and I'm somehow involved, and you will probably tell us how this is all related. Most of all, we are curious to hear more about what our Arx.ace is, what is the ambition, and what are the next steps, and what should people expect. So whenever you need anything from me, just let me know. And if you need me to come over there, I will. Just let me know. I'm here listening, and the stage is yours.
Wait 1 second, I need to check this.
Thank you very much.
Wait, I think I have the, I don't know. I think Zoom kicked me out. Can you see me on Zoom here?
No, you're not on Zoom. You need to log in again.
Yeah, so let's start with the introduction. We're going to use this hour to walk you through our business idea, which turned to a project and a launch, recent launch, which we want to present today. Present ourselves at the beginning, go through our story, how we came up with the story, how we developed the story and the project further, and walk you also through market dynamics, our goals, our mission, and
mute yourself. Is it good? Yeah, is everything all right?
We are just hearing ourselves three times in a row.
Everything is all right.
Now it should be fine. And then we will also use the time and talk to people who already use the Arx.ace, and also make a small demo of the newly launched platform. So this is working here.
Right. Okay, I think I'm joined. All good to go. Okay, right. All right. Okay, so we can start. I think maybe we can start with introducing ourselves. In previous session, I had the possibility to talk a little bit about myself. So actually, my name is Eva. I have like architectural background. I talked about myself a bit, but moreover, I would like to introduce you. So you are my partner in crime, and you are more focused on the business development of this idea more than me. I'm more the creative one. So what is your experience? What you did in the past, and what was your drive to join such a project?
Yes, so as you say, I'm covering the business side of the project. It's because I am the very most traditional business person, as you can probably imagine. I studied finance and banking, and started to work in financial institutions, also abroad, and transitioned back to Austria from US and from Germany. And then I started after my graduates to work for traditional consultancy firms in corporate finance, which was a very interesting job. But slowly I realized I would like to help companies directly. So I transitioned from that to investor side directly. But I was not working in companies directly, but for investors who were investing into these companies. And first I started to work in restructuring and turnarounds, buying companies which needed to be turned around. And then I figured out, I thought I will have much more joy if I will work in venture capital instead. So I transitioned then to venture capital, where I started to support financing processes, investment processes for startups of various stages, including early stage startups and pre-seed, seed, and also Series A financing in Vienna. And this is how we met with Eva.
Yeah, so I was taking part in like consulting sessions where my consultancy, like where my mentor actually seen that I have a struggle with developing the business part of the project, and that's why she connected us together. And I think like we are actually good match in that. So.
Yes, exactly. Very good yin yang. Then we figured out we are both from the same country. Yeah. Because we met actually in Vienna, and then we figured out we are both from Slovakia. Both the same zodiac sign even, so it's working very well so far, and I'm super happy that I came on board.
Yeah, me too, yeah. But I mean, like we are actually working on like virtual platform for architects and designers together, and was for me really interesting to explore the experience that you had in the past. So like you had this kind of intention to work on something like that as well. So what was it? Maybe you can talk more about this project?
Yes, thanks for asking, because maybe I haven't mentioned that. It's because you always think about twice about startups which you start and then you maybe don't finish, but actually every venture capitalist would say that someone who is good is only good because you have already failed. So yes, that's true. In 2016 I tried to develop also another digital platform which was in a different area. It was in a consumer business. Where we tried to make an online marketplace for on-demand services of a different character, which is traditional consumer might need, so household services, health and beauty services, or other simplified services. For instance, let's say you want to book a DJ on demand today after we finish our our talk to celebrate. But it was very, very intense, also in terms of development and IT development. And unfortunately, after a year of intense development, we were not on plan, and I started to view the project a little bit differently, maybe from some other more realistic perspective. So I decided to close it and just take the key learnings I had with me going forward.
Yeah, very interesting. So we were actually lucky to kind of start to develop this project. I had a different team, which was not business driven so well. So I'm very happy that you can support me with that. So maybe we should also introduce what is it exactly, right? So the Arx.ace, it's how would I say, like the name express, Arx stands for architecture, and ACE stands for Architectural Center of Education, and this is what we are actually trying to develop right now. So we're trying to deliver a virtual platform focused on innovative strategies in e-learnings, also supported with competitions, right? So it's based on collaboration of different groups which are involved in architectural society, let's say. So companies, universities, which are delivering the education, so the know-how, and they are for students starving for new innovative informations. So yeah, we will drive you through. We actually happy to launch it today, the first version. And this idea was based actually on my previous experience as well, like from the past, as I was describing in my university time. So my studies led to this opportunity to build up this startup idea, then community and the company as well. So like in the past, like I was about to kind of like sharing, you know, like different idea sources, let's say, right? So it's like my architectural background, you know, drive me to interact within the studio, where I was actually happy to study with Zaha Hadid. It's such a big name, so like there was an initiative from my schoolmates kind of like to join several I don't know, like groups and interact with several people, you know, building up the community somehow, like in my small circle. And then, you know, I had an opportunity to develop, develop, kind of like build a community, growing and kind of like giving back to it. So it was like on social media, and we started to kind of post inspirational images related to parametric design and architecture, computational, and somehow interact with big mass of like-minded people. And therefore I was like giving them questions, you know, so what should be included in architecture and design website of your choice, and what would you like to see? Would like to like enhance your skills, and then we actually pushed it to build community of like 100,000 followers. It was actually a very good source to kind of ask questions. And then, you know, so we kind of were running the survey with several points of interest, you know, it's like what they would like to get informed about. So, and we found out that there is like a need in architecture and design communities for innovation support services to kind of respond to the trends as innovation, sustainability, and how people can learn in a new way. And we found out that they're really like hungry for like new architecture projects, of course. But also e-learning is a very important part, how, you know, people can get to enhance their skills. Then of course, like people are interested for like events and workshops, as we were also like talking before, we can, but nowadays it's kind of difficult, but thanks to Zoom we can like perform virtually, right? So yeah, and also it was very interesting to kind of find out that people would like to know more about company insights, so how the companies are operating, because yeah, of course, like this such like business soft skills and things like that you're not getting introduced at university. In architectural university, you're actually learning skills, conceptual things, you know, more about like statics engineering, how the design should come up to the world somehow, and the processes, but like no one is teaching you how you can actually survive after university. So a lot of people were asking more about like the company insights, how you can run your own business and so on. That's why I think like we would like to also explore more how our idea can merge, you know, like the practical experience also with the knowledge, so the theory and practice. So I would say this was the idea, and then one sec. So
yes, you worked and with this community when you were building it up. It was quite impressive, because I was looking backwards how you were building it, and it was growing like by 5,000, 10,000 followers per month, just by you engaging with people, and they were giving quite positive feedback, and still like the feedback was mainly including, why don't you guys make a platform which would be more innovative than what's out there
already on the market, right? And that's why we actually started to think about something like that. And we were happy because like being a business agency actually kind of like supported our innovative idea. That's how we started. And then we were also like participating in Founders Lab, where it was a kind of like amazing little incubator full of workshops. And every day we had, not every day, like every day of like these like sessions, we had the possibility to explore, you know, like business oriented things, financial stuff, you know, has been, I don't know, what else we had? Also like a lot of like marketing stuff, you know, how you can also market yourself. And we had also kind of crowdfunding sessions, how you can support financially your idea. And, you know, it was like interaction with a lot of like different startups, and they had also different focus, and everyone was from different creative pioneering backgrounds. So
yes, this is what there was the time when I already joined Eva, and so we participated in the Founders Lab this year. It was 3 months, pretty intensive, weekly 1 to 3 days sessions, on these different topics which you mentioned. So they basically prepare your project for every single work stream which is necessary to launch your project. So what we didn't mention was also law. We had quite intensive law sessions where we were drafting contracts with lawyers they provided us with. So yeah, we went through all these different sessions, and I have to say this was also very inspiring in a way, because unfortunately, or fortunately, let's say unfortunately, the current pandemic started shortly after the Founders Lab started.
Yeah, exactly.
So we had to move all our sessions to online sessions, but because we were building a platform which is also surrounded around online learning.
Interaction, exactly. So we've seen that like there is like really importance for like creating such a tool where also like creatives can also interact. So like then we had the chance to experience it also, like we cannot do everything, where we cannot do everything physically, like in like real-time interaction, we can also like do it in virtual space. So yeah, I was also like very, I think, useful and important for us to get this like mentoring, like you know what kind of businesses we have supporting us. So like having the possibility to get feedback from someone who's like in the field, is a lawyer, is I don't know, like the agency marketing experts, you know, and this is very important when you're shaping your idea and you want to make it really work.
Yes.
Also like how to finance it. So yeah. This is very challenging.
Yeah, so there was one of the mentors we got was
the balancing from the Venturi, right? Like
yes.
It was like one of the really like early workshops where actually he was on site, and he had this idea about creating this like qualitative interviews. So we started as well. It was like a challenge. We wanted to explore and ask the target group of us like what they need, how our product can be shaped in a way that it's very like helpful and they really can be using it. And we actually identified 4 different target groups as universities, students, companies, and architects and professionals. Later on, we would like to also interact with them in real time. So at the end of this, we would like to invite them to say something. So we created like amazing, like a structured plan. So like, it was also your idea to create a set of 10 questions, and we would ask 4 different representatives from each group. So yeah, maybe you want to talk about it a bit more?
Yeah, so Founders Lab pushed us to really explore the product what we are building. If it's product which is only built for us and based on our interests, because it's very easy to think for yourself and what you like, and to then automatically assume that what you like wants the whole world. So they, even though the idea was already quite developed at the point of time when we started the Founders Lab, they really forced us to take a step back and to start really go in depth into that idea and start to ask, is it actually something which is going to find the users? And they gave us very good advice how to do that. And basically, the most important thing and key is to go to the identified target groups of users or clients and ask them open-ended questions. Open-ended questions which start with how, what, and
yeah, these are questions are, you know, like so when you give questions to someone, then you cannot answer just yes or no. So it gives you really like a variety of different know-how and information which you can also like base your product on. So like we can really extract something out of it.
That, and also another key point is also to ask these questions, but target them, or you know, or you say, or you ask them in a way that you ask about the past. So if you, for instance, ask, one of our questions was, what are the typical educational tools you are using online? And we would ask, what have you actually used in the past? Because we don't want to create a product which is hypothetical and then not really used after we create it, but we want to create something which have been already used, but people want to make it a little bit differently. So yeah, so it was a big exercise. At the end, we collected from 27 participants from different groups, as we said, universities, then professional companies, professional designers, and students, and also graduates, fresh graduates. This set of answers to 10 of questions, which were interrelated through the groups, but were also specified for the group. So we were analyzing 300 answers.
What was the result? So there, like the result. Okay, so the type of questions were, like, so what should motivate the university to become kind of like a supporting unit for students to learn better, how they can interact with e-learning courses, if they would actually participate in a competition, like students' ideas, and if the companies would be actually willing to support students, for example, like for, I don't know, internships, or, kind of like mentoring as well. And also I think it's very important to learn from the big names and from the people who has already experience. So we were also like asking them this, or like, what is the biggest struggle? If you know the struggle, you know how you can solve it, right? So that's how we were formulating the questions. So, and at the end, we found out that there is a clear need for like such a dedicated platform as we are trying to develop. So yeah.
Yes, what you just mentioned, it was like the key question which went through all the groups, and it was, what is your biggest struggle? And then we found out.
Write us in the group chat as well, like, what is your biggest struggle? We'd like to know.
We found out maybe typical answers, but answers which are very structural, where maybe we cannot really also help. So, for instance, a university would tell us that they struggle with lack of budget, right? So our platform is not going to be the one who is going to provide additional financing to the universities as startup. And also companies would answer to us that they struggle to find the right talent. And are you screening?
Yes, yeah. You can actually describe in that way. So actually we found that there's.
But at the same time, the companies do not spend on employees and to their education. So maybe there is some contradiction within these statements. And students lack the time, but at the same time, they need money and they need the reference and they need practical skills. So again, it's something which is very hard to change, but we found the solution for that, and that is when we bring all the stakeholders on one platform, and not only students, not only companies, and not only universities. We can provide a tool where we can shape all these needs and address these needs, so really help them. Not, for instance, with university, not to become their the university competition, because we are creating the educational platform, but we don't want to compete with universities. We want to support the universities, and with our services, we don't have to necessarily provide the financing that are needed, but if we provide some tool which they can use within their programs, they already start to become more innovative, which they will like. So
there is a clear need for our platform to kind of like take a place on the market. Maybe we would like to also talk more about like the market dynamics. Thanks.
Sure. We also looked at the market. So we wanted to validate if what we are building, there will be market for that. And not only now, but also in the future. So we looked up the key benchmarks and trends which you should have on the screen now. So it's very interesting. There are close to 3 million architects worldwide. This is a figure we found out. It's very hard to really come to the figure, but
it's hard to estimate.
But the market is actually growing. These architects come from 1,400 universities, so quite a huge number of universities all around the world. And we also found a figure, and that's the growth rate of the architectural services in education sector. So very specific and niche figure, also expected to grow on annual basis 8%. So that gave us an answer that what we are doing probably will find a resonance. Also, another very interesting figure is that the market as such, the architectural services are worth close to $300 billion. So it's an enormous market what we are looking at, and the demand is going to grow further 6%. So if you are in this market, if you are an architect, you are definitely in a good market.
Yes, so stay tuned and keep on doing good architecture. Maybe we could also take it through and like show you some kind of like the demo, how it works. Or no, maybe we can also talk about our goals.
Yes, so
or wait, I would say maybe like
yes,
because like
maybe switch it up and
somehow like short on time. So maybe I would like to invite Ján to jump on our conversation as well. In the meantime, I'm gonna be also like showing the demo, and we can talk about these two groups that we are trying to like merge within like our project. So it's like the e-learning and the competitions, right? So how are we gonna drive the innovation? Wait, I now should also do
Hello.
Hello, am I on time?
Yes, sure.
Perfect.
So also since so or maybe we can first play the video. So since architecture in our sense it's also more digital, and also like we were experiencing this before, and we were also like saying that we are trying to kind of like follow up with the rese Arx what you was taking care of in the past, and we're trying to enhance it and push it forward with our platform. Maybe you can also talk shortly about like what was rese Arx before and how we're gonna like transfer it for like our meaning. So like you was developing platform which looks like that. I can also share it, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
What was it about?
So I was talking about this the second day of this workshop. This was basically it at the very beginning. It didn't look like this. It looked like something very basic. I started recording tutorials that I had in mind for a long time. They were basically when I was teaching live workshops, I developed a certain way of teaching, and I thought it's just a waste of effort not to record it and somehow offer. At that time, I recorded the very essential ones. That's the ones that you are showing. I made some pictures that are depicting what am I teaching. Basically, the idea was to teach certain principal topics, not really giving like learning people how to fish instead of giving them a fish. So this is a really deep walk through the main topics of the parametric design and of Grasshopper mainly, but not only anymore. So at the beginning, I just started recording them and broadcasting them live, very similarly to what we are doing now. People were online and they were able to ask me questions, and they were able to also somehow direct the path that I was teaching. But altogether, I put together I think it was 5 tutorials at the very beginning. They were really long. They were 3 hours long. And then we started recording more and more tutorials with also invited guests, and we built a platform around. Now we've got around 50 tutorials. Each one is at least 2 hours long. Some of them are paid, some of them are for free. We've got tutorials for Grasshopper. We've got essential tutorials for processing, and we also did have tutorials for V-Ray, but they are outdated now, so we're not really offering them anymore.
Yeah. Okay. And what is happening right now? So like we are taking over this these courses right now. We would like to actually show you how.
I may also say for the people who already own the tutorials, people who already bought them or somehow got them, because very often it was possible to get them either for free or for a very fair price. All the prices are fair. I mean, a low price when I say fair.
Yeah.
Everybody who is who already has them, they will remain available, and nobody's losing anything. The main thing is that we are shutting down very soon the research website, and you won't be able to get the existing courses anymore through the research website, and it's moving to the Arx.ace. Also kind of temporarily, because I believe that very soon we will update the content as well.
Definitely,
maybe that's something that you can talk about.
This is what we would like to say, that all this content was already there. We would also rework, redesign, try to make another tutorials for the same topic, maybe like in a new way, using plugins, kind of refresh it.
I can also elaborate on that a little, because all of the Grasshopper tutorials, they are recorded live sessions. So it was either me or a different tutor sitting in front of a computer, having a couple of people online and teaching them something. And they were done in various conditions. Also, because we were recording them very often, I also was located in different places, and I was using different computers and so on. And the conditions were not always perfect, but I still think that we recorded a very, very good content. I believe so, otherwise I wouldn't be advertising for it. But then technically, I understood that it needs some sort of polishing. And that's why when I was recording the processing tutorials, I took a different approach. I split the content into parts, into something like chapters, and I recorded them in better conditions. I prepared a lot of presentations for that. I gave some cheat sheets. Actually, at the beginning, there were cheat sheets for also the Grasshopper tutorials. The reason why I didn't do them later on was that sometimes the topics were changing in real time. So when you're talking about reworking these tutorials, I think that the content is still valid and relevant, but I think it kind of needs higher quality of recording, preparation. We should split it into chapters. Maybe even we can talk about the chapters, because I think that's
I think very useful to have like smaller portions of video that like the student can consume and can follow up part by part. So I think that's very useful.
But I also have to say that I really believe that the tutorials that we recorded, the research sessions, they are different from other tutorials, because we are really not showing that if you follow these steps, you will achieve this picture. We are teaching topics. We are teaching the content that when you follow, you should understand the content, and you should create your own stuff instead of just copying somebody else's stuff. And when it comes to it's more
the process and the workflow, as we were talking before.
Exactly,
So
exactly. Not that much on the result, because I really believe that the result is something that each author should develop themselves. But also I want to talk about the way I split the chapters for the processing sessions, and I also believe that we should do something similar for Grasshopper. In processing, they're basically each bundle or each tutorial is on one topic. So it's already chopped into small parts, but because we are going so much in depth, the recording is really long. So something that can be explained in 10 minutes, we don't do it in 10 minutes, we do it in 1 hour, because we go into depth. And with processing, there are always 3 chapters. One is theoretical, another one is basic, and the other one is advanced. So if you just want to learn the concepts behind something, like for example loops or variables, you can listen to the theoretical lecture only if you don't care about getting the skills, if you just want to understand what it is. So you listen to the theoretical part. Then if you really want to learn the basics, then you listen to the basic part, to the essential part. And if you already know the concept and would like to get a deep insight or better understanding, you just listen and watch the advanced part. And I think this is a good way of splitting the content also for Grasshopper, because if you really want to have quick results, just watch the basics. If you want to have better understanding, watch the advanced. If you want to understand what is it all about and why should I care, watch the theoretical part.
Definitely, we should be like splitting into like different learning categories, also like the future content, what we want to do.
Yes.
Also, in future, we have this concept of like delivering different kind of content as well. So what we've been doing also like later on as a demo with Manuel. Maybe we can also talk about it shortly, you know, how we want to structure it. So we also want to include personalities, you know, from architectural and design environment to kind of introduce themselves, you know, create some kind of like little bit like a master class or like a little documentary was kind of maybe more commercially better consumed. And then kind of like a tutorial, lecture, hands-on, what is it about?
Yeah, it's a complementary thing to what we are talking about now. So you still have the skill building and theoretical background content, which is what we already have, and we are going to update. But at the same time, I understand that it's kind of important for people to actually know what their heroes, their architectural heroes are doing and how they are doing that stuff. And the internet is kind of full of step-by-step tutorials showing a picture of somebody's famous work. There is a picture of a building and somebody is explaining, if you want to do this in Grasshopper, follow these steps. But those tutorials are not authorized. That's just somebody trying to figure out what the person was thinking when they were designing the stuff and trying to mimic the stuff. And when I'm also teaching at university, or when we are doing something here at the office, it's always important for us not to copy the visual shape of something, but if we are going to copy or learn something, it's the process that leads to the result. In Latin terms and official terms, this is called morphogenesis. It's a morphogenetic approach. You really need to understand what is the generation process of the form, rather than knowing how to copy certain form. So this being said, I understand that just learning theory and basic principles is not enough. You need to also be able to understand what the creatives, what the architects are actually doing. So that's why we are also starting master classes, but they will be also incredibly thorough, and we will split the master class into certain parts. So there will be always one master that is going to teach architecture or design. And the content will be split into several parts, from the most accessible one, like a chat, debate, interview, through some short documentary, maybe a lecture, theoretical, and then we'll go to more advanced stuff, like hands-on lecture, which means that the architect will come either to a building or sit at their office and show stuff on models, on drawings, in computer, and explaining like, this is the important thing that I was focusing on when I was designing the stuff, and this is what I was thinking. And that's the most important part, because when you know what you want to achieve, you will find your way, and it's not about just finding the way. But then at the final step, there will be always a series of tutorials that will show you how to really use or develop your skills to achieve the same visual result, but this time they will be authorized. They will be really somehow supervised by the authors themselves. The last thing that I want to say is that this entire week, the 7 short stories of computational design, it already has this format. So if people were following us, they have probably noticed that at the beginning there is an interview which is short, easy, and we somehow set the mood for the rest of the day. Then there is some sort of a lecture or a presentation where we actually give all the necessary information. And then we have the hands-on, where we talk about specific peculiar, yeah, that's the word I should never use because I cannot pronounce it, but about the specific of certain designs. We talk into depth about those things. And then at the end, there is a usual tutorial where we teach the skills. So the format is the same. And the same applies for today. We started with an interview, then there is a presentation where you explain everything that is important. And then we somehow scale down again, and we'll make a very short demo of what is coming up with Manuel Jimenez Garcia from Nagami. And again, we'll have the same format, just even scaled down. So very quick interview with him, very short theoretical lecture, very short hands-on lecture where he's going to show how the theory is applied. And then there will be a tutorial how to actually achieve the same result using more or less the same tools. But this time it's going to be authorized, and it's really going to be the way he is working when he is designing his stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, how to actually, because I would like to invite Roland. I know like you have to leave soon, so like maybe also like we can somehow explore from our like target group representatives, as I was saying, like so they should kind of say what they think about this idea, if this tool is useful, and if if they see that they can use such a content information, so kind of like giving us feedback from that.
Maybe I can go to another room and moderate it from there.
Exactly, and you can maybe also unmute them somehow, because I don't know,
I think they can. I think they can unmute themselves as well. But anyway, if you need anything from me, I'm still there, and I'm moderating this.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank
you. Yes, and also like quickly, I don't know, Roland, if you're here. Oh, I don't see the participants, but anyway, so this is yeah, he's here. So yeah, our platform has this kind of mood. We were talking about the courses, but now it's like we could also like talk more about the contests. So we are trying to explore like things within like green, sustainable energy design, so how it can be supported, and we would like to explore together with companies which can read the topic in combination with students which are part of university. So somehow like create this kind of collaboration of practical and theoretical knowledge.
I think that people can unmute themselves easily. So whoever wants to join the conversation, just please unmute yourself.
Yes, please. So I would like to ask Roland. I don't know if he has time to do it because he had to jump on another meeting like in a few minutes. So I don't know if he's here. Hi,
Eva, hello. Hello. Hi. So
Hi.
I'm not struggling anymore. Great to hear you.
Good. So since I know like you have to leave soon, maybe I wanted to kind of like invite you to talk a little bit. You know more about the project already as well. Maybe you can talk like who you are, what you're doing. You are representing like the company group of us. So you think that such a tool or such a platform is useful, and how you see this can be like beneficial for like companies to be part of their strategy.
Yeah. So first of all, congratulations to all of you on what you managed so far. It's really great to see what happened. And
thank you very much.
In general, the platform, I think it's a really huge value for every architect, and on the same side for the whole building companies. Because what everybody is looking today for is just having some kind of small, smart tutorials, not investing that much time, just having a platform where you can consume really tailor-made tutorials, and as I said, not investing that much time. So I discussed with a couple of architects how they want to structure their day, how they want to learn. The first answer was always just a few minutes, and whenever I have time between two projects or whenever a call is not happening, then I'm ready to consume tutorials and to train myself. And I think this is what exactly you managed. You started coming with really great content, and on the other hand, I think that the platform itself really brings the community together from the building, construction side, architectural side, planners, designers, and students. That's the most crucial thing for me.
Wow, nice, thanks. So how you see this can benefit your company?
So I think especially how my company can use this is really to train the people who are interested in architectural things, are interested in design. And as I'm working for a lighting company, so we have specialists there. But without not knowing what architects are interested in, how design and how architecture in general develops and which is new in the market, the people are not strong partners. And therefore, I will motivate them to consume tutorials from time to time to find the hottest things which is relevant for architects, and that they are real partners which are enabled to work and then to speak on eye level.
Yeah, could you see your company also like be part of like the contest, you know, like briefing, for example, I don't know, like creation of new interactive lights and collaborating with students at the universities? Could you see this coming to your agenda?
I think this is a good opportunity for us, for you, and for Arx.ace as well. Just bring the right people together, and whenever students have values and have good ideas which industrial companies can use, we are always open to invite people for some kind of contest.
Perfect, yes. Thanks, looking forward for doing that with you.
Yeah, so, I think we will follow up for sure.
Thank you very much. We would like to maybe join, ask to join Maria. She's a student from Lebanon, and she's also like collaborating with us on several.
Yes.
You here?
Hello.
Hi,
Yeah, I'm here. How are you?
All good. Hey,
Thank
so
you.
I hope everything is fine in Lebanon.
Yeah, kind of.
Since you already have kind of like experience with taking courses online and with you know, this kind of virtual learning, what is your experience with that? I don't know, like, can you maybe talk more about that and what like pros and cons and what you think we can offer as well?
Sure. Actually, I have a BA in architecture, and during academic years, I didn't have the opportunity to learn anything about computational design. So I decided to go to shops and online courses as much as I can, so I can gain a lot of knowledge. I started with the workshop with Design Morphine in Vienna, and then I took several online courses. There's a lot of pros and cons for this. And the pros are really a lot, because you can learn a lot, you can understand and know how to do your own script, how to think about the design before like building it. There's different ways. It differs from one instructor to another, because there's a lot of process thinking, so it differs from one to another. But mainly the one negative point that I find that it should be, I prefer the workshop to be one-to-one. I mean, to be physically there, so you can like easily understand. The online, it's like not the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. You can't replace physical interaction for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Interaction is very important in these kind of workshops.
Yeah. What are the
but also online
sorry?
Yeah. The COVID-19, it's very important to take online courses and not to stop.
It's important to have the combination, of course, and which is complementary, right? And because the online courses have some benefits that you can do them every time, wherever you want, whenever you want, and but of course you always need some kind of interaction with a physical person and an expert.
True.
Yes,
that's so true.
Also, what we found out, like, it's very interesting, like, to have this like mentoring via Zoom one-on-one, even though like you cannot meet them like physically. So it's also like good. But yeah, for example, when it's like about like learning with machines, it's like we were doing in this design morphing workshop. So it's also like kind of like, you know, how to set up your 3D printer in the right way. So of course it's best to do it in a physical. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. So all the best, and I would like to ask Alex to jump on our short feedback session. You here, Alex? Alex is like a representative.
This is a far connection, right?
Yeah, we're going to Australia, right?
Oh, we're traveling in time, 12
Hello?
hours. Hi.
Hi.
Perfect. Okay, works. Hi, guys, ladies, and Jan. Yes, so I'm currently in Melbourne, Australia.
Tell us what you're doing. Who are you? What you're doing? You're having like very interesting background right now.
So my training is I'm an architect from Vienna originally, and I tapped a bit into digital design, then digital fabrication, robotics, and these kind of things. And now I'm a research fellow at RMIT University, and we're trying to help to establish within small and medium enterprises kind of to build a roadmap for digital transformation. And what I can see here currently is that many of these companies actually struggle finding people with the right skill set. And the product or the platform that you want to offer actually exactly gives that kind of education that I had to get at some point because it was not part of my education package, which I took workshops with Ján in 2013, 2014 in Vienna and Bratislava. I wasn't offering this course, right? I had to educate myself. And that's the way I went. It led me to research also at ETH Zurich for 4 years or something. And so now, again, still in university environment, actually, I can see that being very useful. I think especially now that we are amidst this pandemic situation, or at some point after that, I think digital platforms are here to stay. And I'm happy to see both rese, Arx, never know how to pronounce it, morph into Arx.ace, but also then see new content being developed as it's being requested, maybe by new partners. And we could be one of them. Of course, we're a big university, and companies need people to be able to deal with complex things. So I think that's a very good nucleus here to work in.
Thanks, yeah.
Thanks.
Also would like to ask to join Busafi. If you're here, please unmute yourself and you're here, and tell us, you know, something from your professional background. And hi. And you know, if you see the importance of such a tool as well, somehow influencing and being part of your business agenda.
Sure. So basically, I'm in Oman, different part of the world.
Hello to Oman.
Yes, hello back. And we're basically an architecture practice, and we have two divisions of the practice where we operate in architecture, and at the same time we operate into the visual production side. In terms of architecture, we have completed several projects, and the thing that kind of we're super excited about your platform is basically this idea of bringing everything together. What we there is a lot of content out there that is basically dispersed into, so you see lectures happening now on Instagram, and then you go to Facebook and there is some thing happening live, and a lot of things that are happening in different areas, so various platforms. Now, what we're excited about this is that you unify a platform, so it becomes this super interesting interactive library where we can tap in and find different kind of sources to kind of learn new skills. As an architect within this day and age needs to be operating at the edge of technology, as well as this idea of continuous learning, whether it's for kind of the people and management running the company, running the practice, or for our employees that are joining us at different stages of the kind of their careers, you always need to have that those skills, upskilling everyone to a certain level of skill. And especially our part of the world, I mean, the education system when it comes to architecture is not as, I would say, is not as edgy as what Europe and the US or maybe China are offering. Now the idea of kind of the usage of technology and the use of advanced design tools are just coming into the teaching system. Companies are yet not there, but few companies are operating within these realms. So yes, this is a very exciting platform to be with or be a part of from a perspective of a practice having several employees working, and the idea of upskilling everyone. Another idea that we really look forward is I think this idea of access to information, and especially kind of rich content that you guys are offering, and kind of up to date, and some of it is even research stage material, which is very interesting. So this idea of access to information for different parts of the world, that everyone can get use of this. And we kind of, what we saw in the past years of people not having access to such education and then suffering as a result of that. I think your platform is doing a great job, or hopefully will be doing a great job in actually giving a lot of people access. Not maybe, yes, you will have the idea of paid content, but I'm sure as some of this kind of, as more content comes in, some of it opens up to be free content and free engagement. As well, the idea of exchange of information and exchange of, we as practices, especially young practices, coming into the market, well, yes, we've done the design, we're good at it, and in universities, and it's exciting, etc. But when you go and try to put a building on the ground, there are a lot of nitty-gritties that you go through, and I see that your the business aspect of this platform there brings us to a new level of actually not only the design aspect and the research aspect, but no, running a business and how you would make profit, and how you would deal with clients, and how you would, for example, deal with different sub-consultants in different parts of the world. So I see as well having within the organization of your platform a business side, not only architectural, not architecture only, is a good thing, and it will add a lot to this platform. So yeah, looking forward for to learn lots of things, and as well at the same time engage and maybe share some of the information that we have as practices operating in this part of the world with the rest of the world.
Definitely looking forward for this collaboration and interaction too. So thank you very much for your comprehensive overview. Also, I think we should also mention that we are planning to do like membership subscriptions on our platform, that it's not going to be just like one time by pay content, but I think like this would be kind of like opening up and killing the kind of like idea that, you know, also we still have to just like buy the content and things like that. So that it should be transforming to that way as well.
Yes, our long-term goal is to establish a platform which is like serves a long life, a lifelong learning to architects, and of course, it goes in hand with the pricing we will establish. So once we have enough content, which we hope is going to not take so long and won't make you waiting so long, then we will transform to membership model.
Yeah. Anything else we would like to say? Say hello to Alan.
Yeah, will do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I will briefly step in, if I may.
Yes, sure.
I would like to open the conversation also to our Zoom participants. Also, yes, maybe on Facebook, if anybody has got anything to say or comment. In fact, we are now talking about paying for education. So maybe there are some thoughts on this. So if somebody would like to join in and the conversation, now is the time.
Yeah, the thing.
The participants, yeah.
Yeah, actually, I would like to talk a little bit if it's possible. And you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Firstly, thank you so much for the effort you have been doing today. It was great, and the company you started has like stunning ideas, and we heard like many good feedbacks. And the question is mine now. Like we heard all the positive ways and like fits. So if you want to talk about what was your experience and what was your like the moment you thought you couldn't achieve your goal and you thought you like little failed, maybe if you say fail the word, you hesitate what you are doing. Like can you just little elaborate about like negative sides, whether if you want to or not, I don't know. Yeah.
You mean like a experience background, like you mean like in a study time or?
In a study way, with the companies, with the universities, like you are now working with.
Yeah, well, so
I think you mean throughout the development of the platform, what were our maybe drawbacks, where we learn from?
Yeah, I mean, like working on the idea by itself. Okay, so like the idea kind of came up from the struggle what we as creatives were experiencing at the university. So there was like this lack of tool, lack of experience, lack of collaboration. So this was it. So of course, like kind of like the best ideas are coming from kind of like finding solution for any kind of frustration, right? So this was actually it, and then like coming together with bringing this idea on the business level was searching for the best collaborators and teams, a lot of communication. I would say also the big thing is, how to actually, found your company, what is the right type of the company should be like founding, and, also like financing it. So like, it requires a lot of dedication and management. Yeah, but if you like such challenges, then just don't be afraid of doing it. So because like, yeah, of course it's easy to be employed somewhere, but then exploring your own limits and push the boundaries of it and like create something what's your own idea, I think it's very, very, very much more satisfactory, I would say, or I don't know.
Maybe I can say something as well, if you don't mind. I don't really mind talking about failures, and we've got many. Even if
you learn from it, the best.
That's the best case. You can, in the best case scenario, you learn from the failure, but sometimes you cannot learn. You just simply fail, or try to somehow overcome the hurdle. And we've got many. I never felt like I personally should ever talk about any success story. We don't really have any success story yet. So everything that we are doing is some sort of a constant struggle and an attempt to actually achieve something under the existing conditions. So even if when you look at the program of this week's seminar, the workshop, it's all about how things don't look very favorable, but we are trying to do our best. And the greatest struggle that we are having right now, not only as a company, at the Subdigital company, but also all the other brands that we are having and all the other approaches that we are taking, the greatest struggle is that we We don't know how to explain to relevant people what are we doing. And at a certain level, you can think about it as a business problem, that we need to communicate what our service is and how is it beneficial, and why should a client in a relatively small country that is doing relatively well without trying too hard, why should somebody try harder and hire somebody who is making things just more complicated? This is a constant struggle.
Definitely, yes.
Explaining to a client that what we are doing makes sense. And then there is another thing, and that was something that we were actually showing yesterday, that we are not the usual suspects when it comes to the world of computational design. Where we are living, that's not the usual destination. That's not where people would look at to look for high quality contemporary content. But we believe that we are doing that, and our struggle or failure or whatever you call it, thing that we need to fight with all the time is that that we still need to fight for the audience. No matter if it's some educational content, or if it's some research or academic relevance, or even a client, that is a constant struggle. And at the same time, I have to say, maybe everybody's struggling with the same, just doing better than we do. But the problem is that we are biased by the successful people. You only see the successful people. The unsuccessful ones, they're not visible because they are unsuccessful. So also when it comes to the percentage of what can be considered a direct success and what is just the struggle, the success is a minority. It's very rare. And also what we are doing is not a success. We are just trying, and we are constantly trying in the field that we believe in.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the biggest struggle is to kind of like have educated clients, right? Or like the people should understand what we are doing. What is this computational design about? So,
but at the same time, I have to say that the clients now are listening. The problem is that we need to find the right words.
Exactly, yes. But I mean, that's why actually like our platform would be kind of helping society to kind of understand what are like the advances of, you know, using such a computational tools, and, you know, how we can, I don't know, just like educate them somehow, like market it like better for the masses, you know. So that I see like the education has the mission to spread it out, and like that way educate also the clients which are maybe not listening yet. But yeah, I really believe in like education is like the leading know-how, I don't know, validation. So